All right. So welcome to the discussion of items 31 to 60 of the pre-board for March 2023 Philippine Licensure Examination for Teachers for Mathematics Majors. So I believe we are all set. I believe that your test questionnaires, your answer sheets are ready. Let's see how well you can do, how well you do for items 31 to 60. Okay? So take note, we set the passing score at 15 out of 30. But if you could get higher than 15, that would be a lot better po. All right. So this time, let's proceed with item number 31. There are cars with 4 wheels and motorcycles with 2 wheels in a parking lot. A man counted a total of 54 vehicles, but found out that there are 144 wheels. How many motorcycles are there? Is it 9, 18, 27, or 36? Take note that in this particular problem, we are assuming that there are no spare tires or spare wheels. Okay, so I could see that many of you answered D, and that is, okay, 36. Let's see if you got it right. So I let C to be the number of cars and M be the number of motorcycles. So knowing that there are 54 vehicles, so C plus M is equal to 54. But in this case, solving for C, I subtracted both sides by M, and I arrived to C equals 54 minus M. What's the purpose of doing this? You will know in a while. Knowing that a certain motorcycle, a certain car has 4 wheels. So 4C represents the total number of wheels of the cars, and 2M is the total number of wheels of all the motorcycles, and combining these gives you a total of 144 wheels. That's why your second equation is 4C plus 2M equals 144. Now, in the first equation, I express C as 54 minus M. So the C here in the second equation will be replaced by 54 minus M. Because anyway, I'll be solving for motorcycles. That's why I just express C, or the number of cars, in terms of M. So if we distribute po, that's 4 times 54, that's 216. This is negative 4M plus 2M equals 144. What I did next was I simplified the negative 4M plus 2M, which is negative 2M, and the rest were just copied. And with that, I added both sides by 2M, and this 144 was subtracted to both sides of your equation. So that's 216 minus 144 equals 2M. That's 72 equals 2M, and you get M equals 36. Indeed, there are 36 motorcycles. So to everyone who answered D, congratulations, tama. So hopefully po, no, okay, 32. A line segment 20 inches long is divided into 2 parts whose lengths have a ratio 3:7. Find the length of the shorter part. Is it 5 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, or 7 inches? Okay. Sir Jason said letter C daw po. 6 inches. Okay. So, all right. So many of you answered letter C, which is 6 inches. Let's see if you got it right. We know for a fact po that since the ratio is 3:7, then this implies that there are 3 plus 7 or 10 parts in all. So that line segment po natin, no, which has a length of 20 inches, will be divided into 10 equal parts. And what you get is 2 inches per part. Pero kung titignan po natin, if we would go back to the given, we could actually see that since the ratio is 3:7, then the length that corresponds to 3 units is the shorter or the shortest or the shorter part. And since that's 2 inches per part po, that's why the shorter segment is 3 parts of the whole, and its length is 3 parts times 2 inches per part. And the parts here will cancel out, and that gives you 6 inches indeed. Letter C. Okay. Thank you po. So I think marami pong sumagot ng letter C, and that's very good to know. 33. Determine the future value of an amount in Philippine pesos invested at 4% simple interest for 5 years on 50,000 pesos. Did you go for letter A, 60,000, B, 61,000, C, 63,000, or D, 63,500? Okay, so far, for number 33, to everyone who commented, letter A po yung sagot natin. If you don't mind po, can you still remember what do you think should we do here? We should compute for the
Total amount po.
Okay, for the future value of the amount, no? Pero kailangan po muna nating i-compute yung kanyang interest. And what's the formula for simple interest po?
PRT.
Tama, PRT, where P is the principal amount, R is the rate, the interest rate, and T is the time, which is usually expressed in terms of years. That's why the future value, F, is equal to the principal amount plus the interest of that amount. But since you have mentioned that the interest is PRT, so I will be replaced by PRT as shown. That's why the future value is equal to P plus PRT. And by substitution po, so that becomes your principal amount was 50,000 plus 50,000 times 4%. In my case, I converted 4% as a decimal. And since the time is 5 years, so times 5. And using your calculators po, you can see that 50,000 times 0.04 times 5 is 10,000. And thus, the sum of 50,000 and 10,000 is 60,000. That is letter A. What does this mean? It means po that when you invested your 50,000 pesos based on the what the problem is stating, then after 5 years, magiging 60,000 pesos na po lahat yung pera po natin. So letter A po. Okay. 34. Very good so far. Okay. A certain amount of money was invested at 3% simple interest and it gained 400 pesos in a span of 4 years. How much in Philippine pesos was invested in? Did you go for choice A, B, C, or D? I could see that many of you answered letter A. All right. Anyone po? What did you do?
The same, sir.
Anong formula po yung ginamit natin?
Yung formula ko po, sir, is total amount is equals to P close parenthesis 1 plus interest X. X is the number of years, close parenthesis. So, total amount is 20,250 and the principal is 15,000 plus the 1 plus 0.07X. So, you look for X, 5,250 divided by 1,050 is equals to 5 years po.
Okay.
Number 35 na pala po. Sorry po. Number 35 na
34 po.
pala.
Ay,
34.
okay.
Same po. So
Number 34 pa
interest,
po tayo.
PIT po.
Okay.
The principal, interest, and time. So time will be
Okay.
the so 3,333. Sorry po. 33.
No problem po. Okay. I get your point po, and that is actually correct. May advance yung ano ni Sir, no? It's okay po, Sir. No problem. And as based on what Sir mentioned, I equals PRT po. Okay? Tapos, syempre, yung hinahanap po natin ngayon, no, is the principal amount. It is given in the problem that the money you invested or the amount you invested gained 400 pesos. That's why 400 po yung interest niya. Your rate was 3%, so that's 0.03 as a decimal. And your time is in years. That's 4 years po. Okay, sa problem. That's why 400 is equal to P times 0.03 times 4, Simplifying the right-hand side gives you 400 equals 0.12 P. And we have your calculators dividing both sides by 0.12. That gives us the value of P, which when rounded to 2 decimal places is 3,333.33. And tama nga naman po yung ating letter A. All right. Good job po. Okay. So, all right. Thank you. Let's proceed to 35. After investing 15,000 pesos at 7% simple interest for X years, it became 20,250 pesos. What is X? Is X 5, 6, 7, 8? What do you think? All right. I could see that many of you also answered letter A, which is 5 years. Okay, so let's see. Ang tanong ko, this one still involves simple interest po. Yung tanong ko lang po is, sa equation na I equals PRT, anong variable po yung hinahanap natin?
T po, T.
The time?
Time, tama. Alam po ba natin kung ano yung interest?
0.07.
0.07.
That's the interest rate, okay? 0.07. How about yung ano po? How about yung value ng interest talaga? Ilang pesos ba yung interest natin?
5 to 50, sir.
5,250. Ma'am, paano po ninyo nakuha yung value ng interest?
Wait lang po, sir.
Minus
So to
lang
get the-
per ang 20,000 to 50 minus 50.
15,000 minus. Yung ganito.
Okay, so all you have to do is subtract lang po natin yung 20,250 with 15,000. And we get the value of the interest, which is 5,250. So now, using the formula I equals PRT, your interest is 5,250. It's equal to the principal amount, the amount you invested, which is 15,000, times the interest rate of 0.07 times X, which is the amount of time or the number of years you invested your money. Simplifying everything, I just divided everything by the product of 15,000 and 0.07. Your calculator can do the trick, and indeed, tama nga naman po yung 5 years. So sa lahat po ng sumagot ng 5 years, you got it correctly.
You can
Magaling.
directly input it in your calculator.
Po?
You can directly input it in your calculator as 20,250, alpha calc 15,000, quantity 1 plus 0.07 times X, quantity, shift solve, it will give you 5.
Okay, tama po. Yun nga po, mahihirapan po ako mag-share kasi hindi ko po siya pwedeng gawin kasi hindi po kaya. Wala po akong emulator.
Sige lang, sir.
Hindi siya
Sige lang,
So sa
sir.
laptop po talaga yung may problema. Sorry po. Next, I don't know. Baka kayo next time, baka pwede kayo makapag-share screen. Tapos ako yung magsasalita. Baka lang po, baka pwede. So, let's have 36. Mrs. Insular would like to buy a refrigerator at 40,000 pesos. She is required of a down payment of 10,000 pesos and she will pay the rest at 6% interest for 12 months. How much will her monthly payment in Philippine pesos be? Is it 2,100, 2,220, 2,250, or 2,650? Marami sa atin ang sumagot ng letter D. Is D correct? We'll see. So take note po that sa price na 40,000 pesos, nag-down po siya ng 10,000 pesos. And this indicates that 30,000 pesos po yung kanyang babayaran pa. And take note na yung merong interest po is only the 30,000 pesos because this one was already paid, so hindi na po ito a-applyan ng interest pa. And that, for the 30,000 pesos, all you have to do is to get the final amount po no, na babayaran po natin. That would be 30,000 pesos plus yung simple interest po. This is your PRT. That's why 30,000 times 0.06 times 1. Using your calculator, this gives you 31,800 pesos po. And this amount, this 31,800 pesos, ito po yung babayaran po natin within 12 months. And of course, assuming or presuming that each monthly payment will be the same with the rest, so we will divide this number or this amount by 12, and that is 2,650 pesos. So to everyone who answered letter D, great job. You got it right po. All right. So far, so good. 37. After investing a certain amount of money at 5% simple interest rate for 4 years, how my money became 102,000 pesos in all. How much was invested? Did you go for 85,000, 84,000, 80,000, or 75,000? Okay, I can't help but notice that many of you answered letter A. In this case po, ano po yung ginawa ninyo? Anyone po who could tell us what to do? Okay. Meron po dito no, si Sir Jason Reyes commented here, 102,000 pesos is equal to P times 1 plus 0.05 times 4. And that is actually correct. Here's the point po of Mr. Reyes on why he answered letter A. Diba? Ito po yung formula natin for the final amount or for the future value. Future value equals the principal amount plus the PRT, which is our interest. Pero kung titignan po natin, tingnan po ninyo yung right-hand side. Ano po yung greatest common factor ng P plus PRT? Dito sa right side po, ano pong GCF dito?
P po, P.
P. So yung gagawin ko po ay ifa-factor out ko po yung P sa right-hand side, kaya nagiging future FA equals P times the quantity 1 plus RT. And since what I need is just P, so I will divide both sides by 1 plus RT. And therefore, FA all over 1 plus RT is the value of P. With this, by employing direct substitution now, that's 102,000 pesos all over 1 plus the product of 0.05 and 4, that gives you 85,000 pesos. Letter A. So, great job po. Tama nga naman po yung ating letter A. Okay? So far, so good? 38. How much will an amount in Philippine pesos be after 7 years when 60,000 pesos is invested at 2% interest compounded annually? Did you go for option A, B, C, or D? Wow, so far ha. Sa lahat po ng sumagot ngayon, parang lahat po po yata kayo ay nagkakaisa sa isang sagot. So many of you answered letter A. And let's see if you got it right. Ito po yung formula for the future value of an amount invested at if the interest is compounded. That is F is equal to P sub O multiplied by the quantity 1 plus R over S raised to ST. F here is the future value. P sub O is the principal amount or the amount you invested at the first place. R here is the interest rate. S is like the season. If it's annually, S is 1. If it's semi-annually, S is 2. Kung quarterly po, ano po yung S natin? Kung quarterly, S po natin ay
4,
4. How about po kung monthly?
12.
12. So, and the T here, kung ano po yung S dito, ito rin po yung S dyan sa taas. At saka yung T is the time, which is actually in years. Take note po in years po usually. Ino-convert po natin yan sa years. So with that, since you invested 60,000, so that's your P sub O, that's 60,000 times 1 plus, your interest rate was 0.02. But since it was compounded annually, that's why S po natin was substituted, all S's were substituted by 1. And the time was 7 years, so 7 po yan. Simplifying po yung ito gives us 1.02 raised to 7. And doing this thing with our calculators, encoding this directly to our calculators, gives us approximately 68,921 pesos and 14 centavos, letter A. Okay. Parang marami yata makaka-perfect ngayon, and I hope so. I believe. 39. How much will an amount in Philippine pesos be after 10 years when 150,000 pesos is invested at 3% compounded monthly? Did you go for A, B, C, or D? Okay? So far, marami din po yung sumagot ng letter A for number 39. Let's see kung tama po kayo. So going back here po, ano po yung S? We know that this 150,000 is your P. Ano po yung 10 na to? 10 years, this is your T. 3%, that's your rate, which is 0.03 po. Pero, ano po yung ating S dito? Kasi sabi niya, compounded monthly. Very good. So 12 po yung ating S. That's why substituting it to this formula gives us F equals 150,000 pesos times 1 plus 0.03 all over 12. Lahat ng S po ay naging 12. And your T is 10. And simplifying this directly with your calculators, this portion here becomes 1.0025 raised to 120. And doing this gives us approximately 202,000 pesos, 202,403 pesos and 3 centavos. Letter A. Good job. 40. How about this? A certain product was given successive discounts of 20% and 30% in this order. Overall, the original price of the product was decreased by how many percent? Did you go for 28, 30, 32, or 33? Okay. Wow. Marami po sa atin yung sumagot ng E. So ilan po dapat? If it's not here, ilang percent po dapat?
44 po.
44 po.
Okay, check po natin kung tama yung 44. Yung ibibigay ko po sa inyo ngayon ay direktang shortcut na lang po. Okay? So, a certain product was given 20% and 30%. Yung technique po na shortcut ay yung 1 or 100% ay isasubtract po natin ng product ng complement ng 20%. Di ba? Kapag discount niya 20%, so babayaran mo na lang po ay 80% ng product. Kapag 30% naman po yung discount, which means 70% or 0.7 na lang po yung babayaran mo. So with that, multiplying the 0.8 and 0.70 gives you 0.56. And 1 minus 0.56 is 0.44. Converting this to percent by multiplying by 100 and attaching the percent symbol, overall, the original price of the product was decreased by 44%. Indeed, letter E. And I'm so happy that many of you got the correct answer. Good job po. Okay, 41. Which of the following is an equivalent set with elements 1, 2, 3, 4? What do you think po? Which of these do you think ang tamang sagot? Set of composite numbers from 1 to 10, set of prime numbers between 1 and 10, set of perfect square integers within 1 to 10, or set of perfect cubes within 1 to 10? Letter A. May sumagot ng B, or for the first time, ito yata yung unang pagkakataon na iba-iba kayo ng sagot. Ang tanong ko lang po, ano po ba yung ibig sabihin ng equivalent sets?
Parehas po yung element po. Number of
Equal number of elements.
Yes po.
Okay. So they have the same cardinality or they have
Yes.
the same number of elements. So kung atin pong titignan, yung set A ay merong 4 na elements. Ang tanong, yung set A, yung ito, yung choice A, what are the ilang composite numbers pa ang meron?
4,
Set
6, 8 lang po. 4, 6, and 8.
Sure? How about yung 9 po?
Number, sir, may
19 pa lang.
10 set of composite numbers from 1 to 10, 4, 6, 8, 9, and 10.
Tama. So 5 po sila. Kasi kapag sinabi natin within, it's understood to be from 1 to 10. So kasali po si 10. So meron pong 5. So A is incorrect. How about ang B? What are the prime numbers? Sabi ni Sir Kim Baltar, 2, 3, 5, 7 daw, and I agree with that. Kung
Yes, sir.
makikita po
Yes,
natin, 4 din po sila. So letter B po yung tamang sagot. What about letter C? Set of perfect square integers within 1 to 10. What are those?
4 and 9.
1, 4, and 9. Tatlo lang po sila. And how about the letter D? Set of perfect cubes within 1 to 10.
1 and 8 lang ata, sir.
Tama. 1
1
and 8 lang po. That's 1 cubed and 2 cubed. And so you see, yung magkasing bilang ay yung set of prime numbers between 1 and 10. Kasi dito 4 din sila. Indeed, letter B is the correct answer. I hope it's clear. Sabi po dito, equivalent sets. So it's not necessary na parehas po yung elements nila as long as magkasing dami yung number of elements nila. 42. How many 3-element subsets does Z with elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 have? Is it 7, 14, 35, or 42? Okay, may nag-letter C. And actually, no, it looks like set theory, but set theory is also very closely related to combinatorics. By the way po, in writing the elements inside the set, does order matter? It does not matter po, di ba?
Does not matter,
That's
sir. Yes,
why, yes po.
combination.
That's why I agree with you. This is a combination problem. And meron bang ilang elements ito? Meron siyang 7 elements. And you will be choosing 3 of them. So if you have your calculators, encode it in your calculators. That's 7C3 or 7 combination 3 po. If you wish, no, meron din po tayong formula dito. That's n factorial all over n minus r factorial, r factorial. And if we simplify this one, it becomes 7 factorial all over 4 factorial, 3 factorial. And this is actually 35. Letter C nga po yung tamang sagot. Good job. Let's proceed to 43 po. If today is Saturday, then I will rest. Today is Saturday. Therefore, I will rest. This is an example of an argument that fits the form of what? Is it A, modus ponens, B, modus tollens, C, hypothetical syllogism, or D, disjunctive syllogism? Okay. Many of you or some of you answered letter A. And is A really correct? Ito po yung some of the rules of inference for propositional logic po na meron tayo. So this is your modus ponens. If P implies Q, then P, if P happened, therefore the correct conclusion is Q. Yung modus tollens naman po ay if P implies Q, pero yung nangyari ay yung negation ng ating anong tawag doon? Yung negation ng ating conclusion, therefore the correct inference po should be the negation of your hypothesis. In fact, yung modus tollens po, parang it's actually it's utilizing the contrapositive also. Ito po yung ating hypothetical syllogism. That is, if P implies Q, and if Q implies R, then it follows that P implies R. And for our disjunctive syllogism, if P or Q, yung nangyari ay not P, therefore, yung conclusion na valid po ay Q. At marami pa po sila dyan. Kung atin pong titignan, yung side na po ito lang yung gagamitin natin. If today is Saturday, ito po yung ating P. If P, then the I will rest is the Q. Today is Saturday, P. If P, then Q, this is P. Therefore, Q, which follows the modus ponens. So the correct answer here is letter A. So congratulations po sa lahat ng sumagot ng A. You got it right. Pero kung hindi naman, okay lang po. At least we learned something. Alright, I hope it's clear po sa atin. Kung gusto po natin ng modus tollens dito, kung modus tollens po, if today is Saturday, then I will rest. Kung modus tollens, I did not rest. Therefore, today is not Saturday. Yun po yung modus tollens na way po. Oh, tama nga naman. Oh. Ikakaibang modus yan. Tama nga naman, sir. Gusto ko yan. 44. Suppose P is a proposition. Proposition po no, could either have a truth value of either true or false, but not both. So, what is the truth value of P? This is the symbol for disjunction. P or not P. Is it A, sometimes true, B, always false, C, never true, or D, always true. And Sir Kim suggested there, truth table, and I agree with that. If you are not convinced kung ano po yung sagot, gagawa po tayo ng truth table. So ito po yung truth table natin. If you could see, the proposition po natin dito, the proposition P could either be true or false. And take note po natin na ang negation ng true ay false at ang negation ng false ay true. So if P is true, yung negation niya false. If your P is false, yung negation niya ay magiging true. Now, if you take the disjunction of P and not P, when is a disjunction true? Disjunction or utilizing the word or is true if at least one of them is true. So dito, true or false? Dahil merong isang true, so kahit gaano pa karami yung false, then true po talaga yan. In the similar manner, false or true, true din. Basta merong true na kahit isa lang, then the whole statement is true. Therefore, P or not P, or the disjunction of P and not P is always true here. Letter T. Tama nga naman po, Ma'am Jeneline. No? Basta at least isang true, then true yung kabuuang statement po natin. So letter D po, yung tamang sagot.
Sir, minsan
Very
kasi sila,
good.
sir, naghahanap
Po?
ng false.
Sorry po. I did not hear po, sorry. Would you like to suggest something po? Okay. Sige. Okay. Basta or may isang true, kahit gaano pa karami yung false, true pa rin po yan. Sabi ni Sir Jason, no, minsan kasi po naghahanap sila ng false kahit may isang true. Kaya talaga ang buhay. Sige lang po. Go on lang. 45. Which of the following is true about disjunction statements? Yung disjunction po, yun po yung or. So, is A correct po? If at least one proposition is false, then the whole statement is false. Tama nga ba ito? Yung 45. Letter A is actually wrong. Let's see. Now, here's the truth definition for disjunction. Let's always remember po, a truth definition answers the question, how do I know if this sentence is true or false? When speaking about disjunction, it is true when at least one disjunct is true. Otherwise, if everything is false, then false po yung kabuang value niyan. That's why the correct answer here is letter B. If at least one proposition is true, then the whole statement is true. Letter C and D are actually correct po. Incorrect po. So B. Be careful ha. When we speak about tautology po, tautology, whatever you are doing po, no, your final answer is always true. If what you are showing is always true, then that is a tautology. Kung lahat po sila false, ang tawag po doon, contradiction. Pero kapag halo-halo po, merong true, merong false, then ang tawag po doon ay contingency. So in this case, dito po sa kabila, you see dito po sa gitna, hindi po siya tautology kasi hindi naman lahat true. Hindi rin siya hindi rin siya contradiction kasi hindi naman sila lahat false. This is a contingency considering some are true and some are false. So anyway, letter B po yung tamang sagot. 46. Set A, okay. Paano nga bang basahin to? Yung colon. This is read as such that. Sa ibang aklat po or sa ibang reference, they're using a line, a vertical line here. But if you use a colon, don't worry po, it is still read as such that. Set A is the set of all x such that x is a two-digit perfect square number between 1 and 100. How many subsets does A have? Is it 32, 64, 128, or 256? Many. Okay, some answered B. So take note. Two-digit perfect squares. So this implies that we need to have, we can actually list all the two-digit perfect squares. And these are 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81. And tandaan po natin, hindi pa po ito yung final answer. Because we are looking for the number of subsets. And the number of subsets of a finite set is actually equal to 2 raised to n, where n is the cardinality or the number of elements of that finite set. From here po, you could actually see na meron tayong 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So A has 6 elements, so our n is 6. Thus, it has 2 raised to 6 or 64 subsets, letter B. Okay. Tama nga naman. Okay? 47. The statement, if 2 plus 3 equals 7, then 10 plus 4 equals 14 is it A, true, B, false, C, no value, or D, cannot be determined? If 2 plus 3 equals 7, then 10 plus 4 equals 14. D daw, sabi ni Ma'am Janeline. May nagsabing A. Hati po yata. May nagsasabi namang ano. D or A. So let's see, no? Okay. So now, be careful po. Tandaan po natin ha, this is an example of what we call a conditional. A P implies Q, or if P then Q statement. And tandaan po natin ito. Tandaan po natin ito. If you have P implies Q, P here, there are 4 possibilities for P and Q. Pwedeng true, 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 false, pwedeng false, true, or false silang dalawa. Tandaan po natin, a true premise followed by a true conclusion is a true statement. True implies false is false. Tama yung premise mo, nagkamali ka ng conclusion, false po yung value niyan. If you started with a false premise, pero true po yung conclusion nyo, true pa din po yung kabuang value niyan ng P implies Q. And if pareho silang false, tama din naman po yan. Kasi kapag mali po yung ating premise, parang natural consequence lang po ata na magkamali din po tayo sa conclusion. Or kung mali siya, mali din yung conclusion mo. And that is a true statement. Take note ha, lahat po sila true. May isang pagkakataon lang po na false siya. That is a true premise followed by a false conclusion. So now, balikan po natin ito. If 2 plus 3 equals 7, then 10 plus 4 equals 14. Is the premise true or false?
False po.
False, because 2 plus 3 is 5, no? So false ito. How about po yung conclusion natin? Then 10 plus 4 equals
True
14.
po. True.
True. So yan. So false implies true. Is it true or false?
True. True.
True. Nakalagay po dito, false implies true is a true statement as a whole. Thus, this is a true statement. Letter A po, yung tamang. I hope nakuha natin. So sa lahat po, no, ng sumagot ng A, galing. Great job. 48. Suppose a conditional has a false premise and a true conclusion. The inverse of this conditional is A, true, B, false, C, no value, or D, unknown. Okay, some of us answered false. May sumagot po ng A. Okay, tignan po natin kung tama nga ba yung B o A nga ba talaga. So we have to choose either true or false. Letter C and D are not correct answers for sure. So, tignan po natin. So, tandaan po natin ha, if you have a conditional statement, the inverse of P implies Q is not P implies not Q. Kasi kapag sinabi po nating inverse, ninenegate lang po natin yung premise at saka conclusion at saka yung order po nila ay ganun pa rin. Basta negation lang po nila. Now, ito po. If sabi po kasi sa ating problem, if P is false, the premise is false, and the conclusion is true, negate, okay. Need po natin ito yung not P implies not Q. If P is false, then not P is true. Kasi yung kabaliktaran ng false ay tama. Yung if your Q is true, then yung negation niya is false po. And with that, what is true implies false? Ito po True implies false. Tama nga ba ito o mali? Ito ay, true nga ba o false? Ito ay false. Because as what I discussed earlier, a true premise followed by a false conclusion is a false statement as a whole. Therefore, letter B, false ang tamang sagot. So tama po, marami pong sa atin ang tama. Okay, it's okay po. Thank you. Did you get it po? Or do you have questions or clarifications? Okay. No questions? Ay, sige po. 49.
Wala ni po, sir.
Okay, sige. Salamat po. Thank you. 49. The ratio of an interior angle to an exterior angle of a regular polygon is 3:2. How many sides does this polygon have? Is it 8, 7, 6, or 5? 5 daw. Sabi ni Sir Jason, ni Ma'am Jeneline, ni Sir PJ, ni Ma'am Donna, ni Sir Jonathan. Is 5 correct? We'll find out. But we have to remember this po. This is actually a basic property. If you have any regular polygon, when we say regular polygon po, all sides are equal and all interior angles are also equal. Tandaan po natin na kapag in-add po natin yung isang interior angle at saka isang exterior angle niya, they always add up to 180 degrees. In short, they are supplementary. So yung ratio po nila ay 3:2, so I let X to be the GCF of the angles. And with such, naging 3X plus 2X equals 180 degrees po. So yung 3X po yung interior angle, yung 2X yung exterior angle niya. So 5X equals 180 degrees, and dividing both sides by 5, you will get X equals 36 degrees po. But we are not yet done. What's the measure of your exterior angle, by the way? Ano pong measure ng exterior angle natin?
$72.
Tama. Kasi 2x, di ba?
72 po.
So the exterior angle is 2 times 36 degrees or 72 degrees po. We have to be reminded also na meron po tayong formula sa geometry. That is, the exterior angle of a regular polygon is equal to 360 degrees divided by n. where n is the number of sides of that polygon. And doing some sort of algebra, the number of sides is actually equal to 360 degrees divided by the measure of an exterior angle. So 360 divided by 72, that gives us 5. Indeed, the polygon that we're referring to has 5 sides, or in this case, a regular pentagon. Letter D. Okay. So far, so good. Marami po atang sumagot ng D. Okay. 50. Okay, let's have this one. 3 concentric circles have radii 3, 4, and 5 cm. What percent of the area of the largest circle lies between the 2 other circles? Is it 28, 30, 32, or 34? Okay, I'll wait for a few moments for you to reflect or type in your answer. So far, 4 na tao. Okay, we have 5. And it's consistent. A, yung sagot nila. So when we say concentric circles po, concentric circles are circles that share the same center. Like this one po. Oh. Tatlong circle po sila, tapos iisa lang po yung center nila. Assuming po na ito po yung 3, ito po yung 4, ito po yung 5. So we are looking for the area between the 2 other circles, no? In fact, in the context of this problem, we are looking for this area here. Ito po yung area. That is the area, we need to get the area of the space between the medium circle, the average, and the smallest circle. So this area here, of course, could be computed by subtracting the areas of the circle with a radius of 4 and the circle with a radius of 3. That's why yung area po natin ay pi r squared. That's pi times 4 squared minus pi times 3 squared. That's 16 pi cm squared minus 9 pi cm squared. Thus, the area here is 7 pi cm squared. However, ano po yung area ng pinakamalaking circle? Kasi radius niya 5 eh. Tama.
25.
That would be, tama po. The area of the largest circle is pi times 5 cm quantity squared. And that's 25 pi cm squared. So what is being asked is 7 pi is what percent of 25 pi? And of course, you have to divide them. And you could actually see, no? You could cancel or divide the pi and the cm squared. You will be left with 7 over 25. Multiplying both numerator and denominator by 4, you arrive to 28 over 100. Or if you wish, divide nyo po, you will get 0.28, which is in fact 28%. So letter A po, yung tamang sagot. Okay, check nyo po kung may questions. Kung wala po, I hope I could proceed with 51. Okay. The corresponding sides of 2 similar triangles are in the ratio 2:7. If the area of the smaller triangle is 36 meters squared, what is the area of the larger one? Letter C, sabi ni Sir Jason. Okay, ni Sir Freddy, ni Sir Ifo, ni Ma'am Jeneline. Okay, gusto ko yung yehe ni Sir Malcolm, ni Ma'am Donna din. Okay. Okay, yung tanong ko po ito. If yung ratio, when we say similar triangles, no, their corresponding sides are proportional and their corresponding angles are congruent. Ang tanong ko po is, if the ratio of their sides is 2:7, ano po yung ratio ng kanilang areas? Is it also 2:7? No. In fact, it's actually a theorem po na kung yung ratio ng sides or yung ratio ng perimeter ay 2:7, then the ratio of their areas is simply the square of the ratio of their perimeters. So 2 squared is 4, 7 squared is 9. So therefore, yung ratio ng kanilang areas is 4:49 po. Thank you. That's why applying now the concept of ratio or of proportion, let X be the area of the larger triangle in meters squared. So by substitution po, no? By direct proportion, that's 4:49. Yung maliit kasi ito, 4, yung malaki 49. So yung maliit 36, hahanapin natin yung malaki. So that's why 36 is to X sa right-hand side. And the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. That is why po, yung gagawin po natin ay magiging 4x times, equals 49 times 36. All right. And dividing both sides by 4 directly, your calculator yields 441. So this is 441 meters squared. Letter C po yung tamang sagot. So I'm very happy because to those who commented, you got it right. Okay, 52. Consider right triangle ABC with angle B such that with angle B equals 90 degrees. Let D be a point on line segment AC such that BD is perpendicular to AC. If AB equals 3 and BC equals 4, how long is BD? Is it 12 fifths, 5 twelfths, 13 twelfths, or 12 thirteenths? This is very important. It's very crucial that one knows how to draw the figure. But so far, okay, back siya, okay? Letter A yung sagot ng karamihan. And it's actually looking like this po. Yan po. Yan po yung figure natin. So, by the Pythagorean theorem po, we have here AB and BC are legs. And since this is a right triangle, we can solve for the length of AC using the Pythagorean theorem. With such, the square of AC is equal to 3 squared. Tama po. By plus 4 squared. And if you are familiar with this, you could actually see that this is a Pythagorean triple. So AC po is actually 5 units long. Now, how do you get the area of a triangle again? Sige. Tanungin ko po kayo. Paano po ninyo kinuha yung BD? Anong concept po yung ginamit ninyo?
Sine law.
Po? Similar triangles. Okay. Tama po. So yung sabi po ni Sir Jonathan, ginamit niya po yung concept ng similar triangles. Ako, iba po yung ginamit ko. Iba pong ginamit ko. Mean? Pwede. But in my case po, I simply use the concept of the area of a triangle. Ano pong area ng triangle na to? Nag-sign law si Sir Freddy. Okay. Ano po yung area ng triangle na to? Ng triangle ABC? 6, di po ba? Kasi base nyo 4, yung height niya 3. Pero tignan nyo po ito. That's why ito po. Ito po yung ginawa ko. Di ba? Ito kapag ito yung, for example, ito baliktad. Ito yung height times base all over 2. Di po ba? Kapag ito po, halimbawa, tingnan nyo po, di ba ito ay perpendicular dito. So if we will look at it at another perspective, AC is the base. Ano po yung height niya? Ito po yung base. Ano po yung height?
BD.
BD po yung height, di ba? So AC times BD will divided by 2. Di ba? Kasi tandaan po natin, kapag iisa lang pong triangle natin, alam nga namang ito 12 units pag-compute mo. Tapos kapag ito yung base mo, ito yung height mo, magiging iba yung area. Hindi po. Dahil they refer to the same triangle. So I'm sure po na same area din po sila. That's why base times height divided by 2. Ito naman po yung base na 5 times height na BD divided by 2. And multiplying both sides by 2 to eliminate the denominators or to clear off fractions. So 12 equals 5 times BD, dividing both sides by 5 gives you 12/5 as the length of BD, letter A. I'm very happy with this one because even though iba-iba po yung solution natin, we were able to show, no? I'm sure iba po yung ginawa ng iba. May nag-similarity, may nag-sign law. Yung mahalaga po sa math, ano man po yung method natin, basta sound po siya, then we will be able to get the correct answer.
Sir, question po.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Sir, if say for example, the problem tells you that a point intersects say for example here, let B be a point in AC such that BD is perpendicular to AC. When you say perpendicular, sir, does it necessarily mean that both the line segments divided by the perpendicular line are equal?
No, it doesn't follow po. So
It
you're
doesn't
telling me
follow.
po, so you're asking me if AB is the same as DC?
ADDC.
Hindi po.
AD,
Not
not
AD
necessary.
and DC are not necessarily equal po. Not necessarily equal.
Ano nga? I think there's a specific name for that, sir. Kaya lang nakalimutan ko.
Meron po tayong different
if-
theorems po. Meron po tayong isang theorem na nagsasabi, no, na kapag dinro mo po yung medians, example po, nilocate mo po yung midpoint, ng hypotenuse, then the distance of the midpoint to all of the three vertices are actually equal po. That is another theorem. So kung median po, kung ano naman po, no, median po yung dinro ninyo papunta sa hypotenuse, so equal na po yun. Equal po si AD at saka si DC. Kung median po. Kung altitude, not equal po. Not necessarily equal. Klaro po?
Thank you.
Thank you. 53. The diagonal of a square is 8 centimeters long. What is its area? 28. This is understood in centimeters squared po, ha? Is it 28, 30, 32, or 34? Okay, letter C daw, 32, sabi ni Sir Jonathan. Yung karaniwang before po, no, nung sa mga actual review centers before, what they do is that they really look exactly for the value of a side of a square and squaring it. But actually, there is a shortcut and many of us are familiar. Diagonals of squares, rhombi, and kites are perpendicular. And using their diagonals, their area could be found using the formula A equals D sub 1 times D sub 2 all over 2, where D sub 1 and D sub 2 are the lengths of the diagonals of your squares, rhombi, and kites. But in a square, we know po that both of the diagonals are equal. So that's A equals 8 cm times 8 cm all over 2. That's 64 all over 2. So you have 32 cm squared. So indeed, letter C. Wow. Very good. Marami pong tama. Good job. So far, so good. Pero if you don't mind po, is your process similar to mine or iba po yung ginawa ninyo? Okay, similar yung sabi ni Sir Jonathan.
Sa akin, sir, nana po ang side using 45, 45, 90 triangle.
Okay, tama din naman po. You could also use the concept of your 45, 45, 90. If you wish, you could use trigonometry. You could use the concept of sine, cosine. Depende po sa inyo. Yung plural po ng rhombus, rhombi, sa ibang references po, rhombuses. But I think both are correct. I just like rhombi. That's the one I'm usually using. Okay. No problem po. 54. Rhombi. Okay. Cactus, cacti, di ba? 54. The diagonals of a rhombus measure 10 and 24. How long is the height of the rhombus? Is it 12 over 50, 53 over 12, 130 over 12, or 120 over 30? Okay. So far, I have a few people who commented letter D, which is 120 over 30. Let's see if you got it right. In my case po, I draw the two rhombuses or the two rhombi, the diagonals of our rhombus. And we have to remember it is a proven property in geometry that diagonals of a rhombus bisect each other, meaning they divide each other into two equal parts, and that they form right angles. So this one, if it's 10, this is 5, 12. This is also 5. Di ba 10 ito? That's why ito ay 5, 5. 24 ito, so ito ay 12, 12. Take note, the figure is not drawn to scale. So we don't know the length of one side of your rhombus. So let's call this x. So if this is a right angle, so the rest are also right angles here. No? So para makita po natin, dito ko na lang po ilalagay yung right angle. Okay. So you could see that this is actually a right triangle, and you could solve, and this x here is the hypotenuse of your right triangle. And if you wish, no, this is actually a Pythagorean triple. Or if you wish to use the property, the Pythagorean theorem, then you have 5 squared plus 12 squared equals x squared. And that's 25 plus 144 equals x squared. The left side simplifies to 169 equals x squared. And extracting the principal or the positive square root of both sides, because anyway, a rhombus does not have a negative value of a side. So 13 is the length of a side of your rhombus. Take note, a rhombus has 4 equal sides. So 13, 13, 13, 13 as well. Pero kung inyo pong matatandaan, paano nga ba natin kinukuha yung area ng isang rhombus? Ano pong formula? It's the same as your parallelogram po, di ba? In fact, a rhombus is a parallelogram, and its formula is base times height. Or, in this case, since given naman po yung ating dalawang diagonals muna, sorry po, let's work on the two diagonals. Your diagonals are 10 and 24. So using this formula, which I also introduced earlier, that's A is equal to 10 cm times 24 cm all over 2. Simplifying this gives you an area of 120 centimeters squared. Ito pong kabuuang rhombus ay 120 cm squared po yung kanyang area. However, yung ating pong hinahanap ay height ng rhombus. And let h be the rhombus's height. So x here serves as the base of your rhombus. And we don't know the height. So let's call that h here. So we know that area of a rhombus could also be base times height equals area. That's why in this case, base times height equals 120, because we already found out na 120 yung area ng rhombus na to. But ano nga yung x na to? Your x is 13, di ba? And ito po yung base ng rhombus natin. By substitution, your b is your x. That's 13h equals 120. And dividing both sides by 13 gives you a height of 120 over 13. Letter D, yung tamang sagot. And again, I'm very pleased that to those who commented, you got it right. Nakuha po natin Okay, so I hope that you really understood it po. Okay, thank you po. 55. A regular pentagon and a regular hexagon share a common side as shown. What is x? X degrees here now, by the way, if you connected this is x degrees. Is it 24, 25, 26, or 27? So far, Sir Jonathan and Sir TJ answered A. Ma'am Jeneline answered E. Let's see if you got it. Letter A din yung sabi ni Sir Freddy. Saglit lang po ha. Okay. So for this one, it's actually very important, no? That since they share a common side and they are both regular, we could see that line segment AC and line segment CB are congruent. Diba? Since ACD is a regular pentagon, it's important po for the context of this problem to determine the length, the value of one of its interior angles. And diba, yung formula po, ano? So we have here 180 times 5 minus 2. 180 times 5 minus 2, it is the sum of all the interior angles. But we have to divide it by 5 dahil meron pong 5 interior angles ang isang pentagon. That's why angle ACD here is 108 degrees. Yan po. Tapos, we will be looking naman po sunod yung angle BCD. Ito po. But knowing that this is a regular hexagon, kaya po alam natin na, di ba, yung sum ng interior angles niya ay 180 degrees times 6 minus 2. Pero divide po natin siya into 6 since meron po siyang 6 equal na interior angles. So each of these interior angles here is 120. So angle BCD is 120 degrees. Ngayon. Diba? Kung makikita po natin, triangle ACB is isosceles. Pero yung tanong ko po is, ano po yung measure ni angle ACB? Ito po, apple cut boy. Ano po yung measure ng angle na yan?
132.
Angle A. Okay. It's actually 132 degrees. Tama nga po. Bakit? Kasi, di ba, nag-form ito ng circle. It's forming a circle. Therefore, a circle is 360 degrees. That's why 360 minus the sum of these two will give you 132 degrees. So ito ay 132. But we could see po that these two angles here are base angles of isosceles triangle ACB. That's why, and alam po natin na ang ABCB no, ay isang triangle. So 180 po yung sum niyan. So x is equal to 180 minus 132. But kailangan natin i-divide by 2 because the base angles, these two base angles are congruent. And this tells us that x is indeed 24 degrees. This is 132 here. This is 24. This is also 24. Letter A ang tamang sagot. All right. May I move on po?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Salamat po. How about this one, number 56? B is a point on circle A with diameter AB, with diameter CD. If BC equals 6 and BD equals 8, what is the area of the circle in square units? Did you go for 25 pi, 50 pi, 75 pi, or 100 pi? I can't help but notice that some of you are answered letter A. Okay. Take note po. CD is a diameter. What kind of angle is angle CBB? Ito po. This angle here. What kind of angle is this? Okay, sabi ni Sir Jonathan, it's a right angle and you are actually correct po. Bakit? It's actually a theorem po, no? That if you have an inscribed angle whose endpoints are the endpoints of your diameter, then that inscribed angle is a right angle. So let's say let's represent x as the length of this diameter CD. So since B is a right angle by the Pythagorean theorem, so 6 squared plus x plus 8 squared equals x squared. This is a Pythagorean triple po, so that's 36 plus 64 equals x squared, or 100 equals x squared. This tells us that your x, or the length of this diameter, is 10 units. So if your diameter is 10, then it follows po that the radius of your triangle is 5 units. And we know for a fact that the area of a circle is pi r squared. So A is equal to pi times 5 squared. This gives us 25 pi square units. Letter A. That's the reason po, no? Kasi na-establish natin na we know na right triangle siya. Okay. Letter A, good job to everyone who got it right. But if not, it's still a room for improvement.
Pwede rin sir
57.
direct, no sir?
Po?
Kasi sa akin direct ako po, ginamit ko yung
Yes.
diameter. Pi d squared over 4.
Okay, tama din naman po.
Opo.
Because tama po yun. Kasi it's another alternative formula po, no? Pi d squared over 4 po. But it's still 25 pi po, di ba?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you po. 57. Find the distance between the points 1, 2, and 5, 5. Is it A, 5, 4, or 3? Pag taken na yung tao, matuto kang dumistansya. Joke lang. Okay. So is it 8, 5, 4, or 3? Okay, let's see. Let's discuss now the solution to this one. All right, a lot of B's. I hope you could still recall your distance formula, which is D is equal to the square root of the quantity, x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared, plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. So 1 here is your x sub 1, 2 y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2 here. By substitution, you have D equals the square root of 5 minus 1 squared plus 5 minus 2 squared. This simplifies to the square root of 4 squared plus 3 squared, or square root of 25, which is 5 units indeed. Letter B. So sure po tayo na kapag ipa-plot po natin si 0.12 at saka si point na 55, and if these are the endpoints of your line segment, then the line segment connecting them has a length of 5 units. 58. A line of slope 3 passes through the point 7, 10. If a point on the line has an abscissa of 2, find its ordinate. Did you go for -3, -4, -2, or -5? All right. D. Is D correct? Take note po. Kapag sinabi po nating abscissa, X po ba yan o Y?
X po.
X po. So hahanapin po natin yung ordinate niya, which is the Y coordinate. So therefore, let's say let Y be the ordinate or the missing ordinate. So we have 7, 10, and the other point is 2y, and it has a slope of 3. I believe we are familiar with the slope formula of 2 points. That's y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So x 7, 10 are x sub 1 and y sub 1 respectively. 2y are the x sub 2 and y sub 2 respectively. And your slope is 3. By substitution, you will have 3 is equal to y minus 10 all over, ito po, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over 2 minus 7 or x sub 2 minus x sub 1 po natin. I copy the rest. I just simplified the denominator into -5. I multiplied both sides by -5 to clear up fractions. And that gives me -15 equals y minus 10. Adding 10 both sides will give you -5. Hence, letter D po yung tamang sagot. And tama nga naman po, no? The concept of slope is the rise of overrun. It's also the change in y divided by the change in x. Siguro po iba din po yung inyong interpretation. Siguro yung iba sa inyo, I'm not sure kung may nag-graph ba. But, okay. Letter D po. Anyway, yung x po lumabas na naman, wala na po tayong magagawa. Sige lang. Okay. 59. Find the equation of a line through the point 1, 2 parallel to the line 3x minus 2y equals 4. Is it 2x plus 3y equals 8? Is it B, C, or D? Okay? Marami yata yung convinced sa D. By the way po, what can you say about the slope of two parallel lines?
Parehas, sir.
Tama po. The slopes of two parallel lines are equal. Siguro yun po yung ginawa ng iba. But in my case, I made a different strategy. Ito po ay isang, it's also another technique po, no? If you are finding that equation of a line parallel to it. Yung gagawin nyo po is, kopyahin nyo lang po yung yung side na merong variable. Standard form po ito. Kopyahin nyo lang po yung side na merong variable. So, 3x minus 2y at i-equate po siya sa C. Because at some time, no? At some point po, na equal po yung kanilang left side, pero they just vary with a constant. In this case, they will have the same slope, but different y-intercept po. So what we need to do is substitute po natin yung 1, 2. X will be replaced by 1, and y will be replaced by 2. Solving for C, we have 3 times 1 minus 2 times 2 equals C. So C here is -1. Ano po yung gagawin natin next? Dahil na-find out na po natin yung value ng C na -1, so this becomes 3x minus 2y equals, replacing it, -1. So tama po yung letter D. Good job. And we have one more po for tonight. Find the equation of a line passing through 1, 4, and 4, 1. Okay, may sumagot ng C, may sumagot ng A. May sumagot ng C din. Okay. Actually, yung marami pong ways dito yung ginagawa ng iba is that they really solve for, di ba? They solve for the slope of the 2 points. And then gamitin yung point slope form or whatever is applicable sa kanila. Ano pang isang way? Sabihin po natin ganito. Let's say ayaw mong isolve direkta kung ano yung line na yon. Ano pong isang way na pwede mong gawin upang malaman kung saan dyan yung tamang sagot?
Substitute lang ata, sir?
Yes, tama po. I-substitute mo lang po yung points, yung dalawang points sa equation at dapat masatisfy niya. Yung points na yon ay masatisfy niya dapat yung equation ng line. So try po natin yung 1, 4. 1 is x, 4 is y. 1 minus 4 equals 3. Nasatisfy niya po ba?
No.
1, hindi. So sure ako na hindi yan letter A. How about yung B? 1 plus 4 equals 3.
No.
No.
Hindi rin. So sure ako mali yan. Try natin yung letter C. 1 plus 4 equals 5.
Yes, in any way.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
How about yung 4, 1? 4 plus
Yes.
1 equals 5. Yes. So sure po tayo na letter C. And if you would like to try the letter D, I'm sure 1 minus 4 is not 5. So hindi po yan. Ito po naman po yung ginawa ko. Medyo mahaba ng konti. But still, I got letter C. So yung ginawa ko dito ay kinuha ko po yung slope using this formula. And I arrived to M. Abalik ko lang po ng konti. It's equal to 1 minus 4 all over 4 minus 1. And I found out that my slope is negative 1. Tapos dahil may slope na po akong negative 1, ginamit ko po yung point slope form na y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. Ginamit ko po yung point na 1,4. That's why naging y minus 4 equals negative 1 times the quantity x minus 1. So distributing the negative 1 po will give you y minus 4 equals negative x plus 1. Writing this in standard form, you have x plus y equals 5. Nevertheless, letter C pa rin po yung ating tamang sagot. May tanong po? Or clarification or anything? Okay. If none, thank you very much and a great day to one and all. God bless everyone.